Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining in. We are at the last stage of this CSE marathon, and this morning Vanessa Covelo is joining us. Vanessa graduated as a profesora de inglés e inglés técnico from Instituto Nacional Superior del Profesorado Técnico, Universidad Tecnológica Nacional. She has a diploma in CSE from Universidad Nacional de San Martín. She has been an assistant teacher at Didactics 2 chair at INSPT UTN for 2 years. And she's one of the head of studies coordinators at Your Way Online School of English. And she works at Nuestra Señora de Lourdes Secondary School. Thank you, Vanessa, for being here. The floor is all yours.
All right. Good morning, everyone. So the talk that I will present today is called CSE. Let me see if you can see in a minute. Let's hope it works. Okay, yeah, here it is. Romina, I didn't know. What are you doing here? You shouldn't be here. Romina is my friend. So all right. So the talk is CSE in the English classroom, why not? And let's see. I am a bit nervous, so right, help me just in case. So this is what we are going to talk about here. First, what do we teach when we teach English, right? The second one is what is CSE? CSE in the English classroom, and I have prepared just one example for you to maybe you can use it in your own classroom, okay? And then any comments. So to start with, I would like you to scan this code. This is a Mentimeter, right? And the idea is that either you can write or type the code, or you can scan the QR that you've got here. And the idea is that you could answer this question, what do we teach when we teach English, right? Let me know if you can. Yeah, okay, good. Have you all scanned the code? Yeah, the QR, sorry. Yeah, okay, good. So let's go to the other one. Yeah, so we have some answers here. Content, citizenship. We help students learn communication skills, respect different points of view. We walk along learning path, language, culture. I don't know if anyone else wants to share. Give 1 more minute. Anyone else? Well, that's it. So, well, good. Okay, you haven't critical thinking. Okay, good. At least you haven't talked about grammar, and that's great. Grammar, vocabulary. Okay, so give me a second. I want to go back to the other one. Wait. Okay. So let's go back to the presentation. All right. So what do we teach when we teach English? I came across this nice quotation, right? This is from the Teaching English with Oxford, okay, right? And it says here, teaching English is more than grammar rules. It's about unlocking confidence, communication, and endless possibilities for learners. And I really loved this quotation, right? Sometimes we are so concerned about grammar, about lists of vocabulary, about exams that we forget that language, that English is a language, and therefore it is a tool, right, for communication for our students to express themselves, okay, to read, I mean, about other people's feelings also, right? So bearing that in mind, okay, right, I would like you to think about CSE, right? Give me just a minute. Let's see if we can connect this to CSE, right? I know that you have been talking about this a lot, okay, right? So it won't take a lot of time, right? I suppose that you know that CSE, it's a law, right? That it was passed in 2006. It's a national law, right? So it for the whole country, and it is a right, okay, right? It is students' right. So we must respect that, right? It's not whether you like it or not, it is a right. And therefore, it is compulsory, right? And this is something that we must be aware of, right? It applies to all levels, right? And this is the last part, is the one that I would like us to focus on. It is cross-curricular. Sometimes when we are or when we are working at some schools, CSE is considered to be a subject. I don't know if that has ever happened to you, right? They have like a subject called CSE. CSE is not a subject, okay? Or there is just one particular person who is in charge of talking about CSE. It happened to me. There was a psychologist, okay, right, at one of the schools, right? And she was the only one in charge of talking about CSE, talking as if we couldn't, right? The point is that CSE is not about being an expert, okay, right? It's about creating a safe environment for our students to express themselves, okay, right? To feel free, right? To talk, to express their feelings, right? To communicate, okay? So it should be for every subject. I know that sometimes for some subjects it is a little bit more difficult to deal with CSE. It happens with maths, for example, right? They don't know how to do it. And there is no material maybe sometimes. But in our case, as we have already said, I'm reading that I think there is a comment here. I didn't realize. Okay, don't worry. Okay. So as I was telling you, it's like since English is a tool, right? It's a tool for communication, right? It we can do it, okay, right? We can do it in our classroom, right? So let's see the next here. Good. Are we okay? Or you're falling asleep? You let me know. Yeah, okay. That's great. Okay. So here we have some information about CSE, right? I suppose that you know, right? You already know about these. It has to do with different aspects, okay, right? It integrates different aspects, biological, psychological, affective, ethical aspects, and social, right? Um, and this is very important because it also happens that most people think that it has to do just with biological aspects. Okay, so they think that the biological teacher, a biology teacher, right, is the one in charge of it. Oh, you talk about CSE, okay, right? No, it's not about biology. It's about the whole person. So that is also positive because maybe you don't feel comfortable talking about certain topics in your class, but you know that there are some other topics that you can deal with. We could talk about aspects that have to do with social aspects or psychological, right? And when we talk about biological aspects, there are things that have to do with the body, okay? Sometimes we have to teach simple present, for instance, right? Maybe we can use the food, right? And healthy habits. And you are dealing with CSE at that moment, right? And it's important to tell your students that you are dealing with CSE topics in the classroom, because they believe also that it's also about sex. Okay. And this is also important. It's not about sex, it's about sexuality, right? It's a broader term, okay, right? That has to do with health, with positive aspects, okay? That has to do with affective factors, with health factors, okay? With the whole human being, right? Not just one particular thing. Of course, we have sex inside CSE, but it's not the only one, okay? And apart from that, it depends on the levels, right? Because it applies to all levels, but the topics will be different depending on the levels. You have a lot of information online and you have the topics that you can deal with in the different levels, okay? And then we've got the 5 axes to approach CSE. I won't mention them because I suppose that you have already talked about them, right? But these are like the respect, culture, okay, right? There are identity, okay, right? These different aspects, right, that you can include in your classrooms, okay? And why CSE? And this is, I believe, that very important, okay, right? Why? Because when you teach, right, or when you include CSE in your classroom, the idea is that you could equip your learners with skills and values, right, for them to make informed decisions, right, using, of course, developing their critical thinking, right, for them to develop respectful and social section relationships, okay? You are empowering your students. I know that sometimes it's kind of difficult because it's better to go with the book, okay, right, and deliver the class, okay, not talking, because when students get this kind of gain power, they start like asking too many questions, okay, and or talking, all right, because that happens, right, when they feel free, because that is what CSE about. It's about creating, okay, a safe environment, okay. Um, and sometimes this could be kind of not a problem, that they feel so safe, so comfortable. They want to talk about things that happen to them. So it's okay if they want to, and it's okay if you have no answers, right? You are not there because you are, I don't know, the person who will solve the problem, but at least you will give them the chance, the opportunity for them to know that they can talk about that later there. And then later you can go and talk to the headmistress, the headmaster at school, okay, right? OA here in our country, right? The the person who is in charge, preceptores, okay, right, and tell, okay, this is going on, okay, right, with this student, what can we do, okay? Let me see. Wait, I touched another thing which I didn't want. Let me see if you can see. No, not yet. Okay. I want to here. So read the mate, okay? CSE in the English classroom, why not? Okay, right? I love it. Okay, read the mate. Like, good. And why not? Okay, bearing in mind all the things that we have said, what are we afraid of in the English classroom? Sometimes we are so concerned about what we were talking about, the book. Parents have bought the book, okay, right? So we must complete it, okay, by the end of the year. Or another thing is like, I don't know, we have to deal with exams, okay, right? International exams, so they need to practice, okay, right? So why not, okay, right? I don't know, sometimes we believe that it has to do with politics and parents will come and complain. Remember, it is students' rights. So if it is a right, it's not your problem if parents don't like it. They can even take their students, tell the headmistress to leave the student in another classroom sometimes, okay, right? Or in the, I don't know, with los preceptores, right? But the point is that it's a right, okay, right? You cannot deny students, all right, of this right. And sometimes we say, okay, how can we do it? Of course, you can always design your own material. That is great if you have the chance to do it, okay? Maybe you don't feel that good about it, okay, right? So you can always adapt your material, okay, right? There are different ways, okay, right? You can include, you can change, okay, right? Or you can add material, right? Sometimes you are dealing with international exams, so you have to complete the whole book. So you say, well, maybe after we complete 2 units, we deal with one particular topic, okay, right? Or we read one story that has to do with CSE, okay, right? So you can do it, okay, in some way. And remember that even though sometimes they know we don't want to talk about this because of politics and because of the, well, teaching is politics, right? There is always a hidden curriculum, okay, right, in the books that we are using in the classroom, even though we don't know, right? We have those typical families with all the children that are blonde. I mean, they have blonde hair and green eyes, okay, then we live in a wonderful house. What is the message there for our students, right? So there also a message. So you can use that, okay, right? Maybe that could be like the thing for you to talk about, okay, right? CSE to include it, okay? But what about your family? What is it? Is it the same, right? Okay, right? Who do you live with? And you can start talking, okay, right? Family, we tend to believe that it's like a taboo topic, okay, right? Oh, no, don't talk about family. No, it's okay, talk about family. What's the point? We all have different families, right? Maybe when I was a little child, it was not that common, right? Oh, the typical family, mom, dad, okay? No, you're divorced. Nowadays, it's not, okay, right? I mean, most people have different kinds of families. So why not talking about them, okay? So this is also important because sometimes we believe that we are like, no, 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 no. And there is something that you are teaching, even though you don't know that you are teaching it. Okay, right? And any comments so far? Are we okay? You can show an emoji if you want or thumb up. Okay, good. And I have prepared, okay, right, something that I consider to be a little bit fun, okay? That is an example that maybe you can use in your classroom, right? Story time. And I have divided it into different parts. First, there is a lead-in activity, which is quite kind of easy. And the idea is to revise some vocabulary, right, that we will use later in our story, okay? So let me see if you can. We will do it together. Of course, this is for students, right? It will be quite easy. So if you cannot share it, don't worry because I will here. I forgot about. So it's a matching activity. I don't know if you use this page. You can find a lot of games here. You can create games also, but only 5. If you want to create more, you have to pay. Such is life. Unfair. So can you see? Yeah? Okay, right. So let's do it together. Let's imagine that you are my students here, right? So what about the first one? If you want, you can talk. What is this? Can you see the first one? What do you think it is? Let's revise
Feel
vocabulary.
sick.
Can
You
you
feel
see the
sick when
first
you
picture
have
or not? Let me
temperature
know.
and you have a little thing of water here. You feel
You've
like
got what?
Alina today.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Yeah,
Yeah, you feel sick. It's the second
good.
picture, the one that has got the.
Ah, you've been. Okay, yeah, perfect. Okay, thanks a lot. Okay, good. What else? What about frown? Which, no? Someone is writing in the chat, I suppose. Let me see. I cannot see what you are writing. So I will match it here. Let me see. Oh, my computer is like kind of crazy. So this is frown, okay. And this one is hag, okay, right? To hag someone. And tear. And this one is nasty, okay? So the idea is to use this activity to revise just vocabulary that will be useful for our reading, okay? So we submit. And it was great. Okay, good. So this was our first activity, okay? And now I need you to talk if you want, okay, right? It says, before reading the story, look up a picture and discuss. Why do you think that Ollie's scared? Ollie's scared. That is the name of the story that we are going to read about. Why do you think that Ollie is scared? You can talk, you can participate as if you were students.
Because of the storm.
Because of a storm. Okay, that could be good. Okay, that could be, right? Anything else? So because of storm, he's scared.
Listening to strange noises outside.
Oh, right, it could be because strange noises outside. Okay, good. Right. Anything else? What other ideas?
In the chat, because he has to submit homework that hasn't been completed. Haha.
Okay, all right.
Darkness.
Good. Okay, right. Any other ideas?
He's going
So
to
good.
have a sister or brother.
Oh, yeah, that's not, sometimes that is not good at all. Okay. Okay, so let's see, right? We are going to read one story that is called Ollie's Scared, okay? I took this story from Storyberries, okay, just in case. This is a site where you can find a lot of stories about different topics, okay, fairy tales, and it is also classified according to different ages, okay? So let me find just, okay, here. Good. So Ollie's scared. We're going to read it together. So let's see why. Let's check your predictions, okay? Right, let's see if you were right or not. Are you ready for story time? Yes, no, yes? Okay, so we've got here Ollie. Ollie's with mum, okay? And so Ollie says, I don't want to attend online class today. I feel a bit sick. Ollie told his mum at breakfast. Mum frowned. Have you got a math test? No, of course not. Ollie pushed his cereal away. I just feel sick. Ollie sometimes felt sick before school. Mum wondered, why? If you have school problem, just tell me about it. His mother hugged him really tight, real tight. When I was a little child, sometimes the other children called me names, horrible names. Ollie took a long time to answer. Yes, it is. How did you guess? And a tear ran down his cheek. Because you often feel sick before school. So moms guess these things. They call me itsy bitsy Ollie mini me. Near things like that online. Now all the other kids call me things too, just because I am a bit small. And the first two not often showed me about as well, and it hurts. Mum was quiet, but then asked, Did you tell your teacher? No, of course not. That would make them worse. I know it. Bullying is wrong, Ollie. Maybe we can talk to your teacher together. Would that be okay? Ollie had to think for a long time. He didn't like the idea at all. It will make things worse. He frowned. but then he thought it was worth a try. Ollie and his mom spoke with Ollie's teacher after school, after online school, with nobody around. Ollie's teacher was happy that Ollie told her about all the nasty cyberbullying. I had an idea that something was going on, Ollie's teacher told them. But the important thing is, Ollie, that you tell a grown-up, first your mom and then me. The next day at school, Ollie's teacher told the class, a lot of schools have no bullying projects, and with all your help, I would like to start one in our classroom. What do you think? Will all your children help me? Ollie's teacher started a project in our class. Stand up, speak up. All the children agreed that the rules were good. 1, tell a grown-up if you see bullying. 2, stand up for yourself. They did paintings of the rules and they made badges. And it's really quite easy, all the children agreed. Nobody ever knew that it was because Ollie and his mom talked to the teacher. But now the school and their online class is much nicer place. It's much a nicer place for all the children. Name calling stopped, and that's how it should be. That was the end of the story. So, first of all, were you right about your predictions? Was he scared about storm and the things that you talked about? No, you are not. Okay, right? So, what was he scared about? What was the problem? Let's see. Okay, right. What was he scared about? Not about math, okay, right? Or the teacher, right? He was afraid of, let me see if we can see the chat we have there. Bullying, being called names, absolutely. Cyberbullying, exactly, okay, right? Good, okay, right? Wait, here. Wait. Prezi is wonderful, but it moves all the time. Good. So yeah, he was afraid of his of cyberbullying, okay, right? Of those comments, okay, of feeling ashamed, embarrassed in the class, okay? That's not good at all. So the idea here, right, we don't have maybe much time, but the idea is that you got here another second activity, right? A second activity for you to work with your students, maybe, right? A true or false, because the idea is also to focus on meaning, right? So I prepared one here, right? Very simple. We are not going to read the story again, right? So it says, Ollie never feels sick before school. Ollie tells his mom that some students okay, right. That some students call him names. Ollie wants to talk to her teacher. Ollie's mom and Ollie talked to his teacher in the middle of an online class. And Ollie's teacher decided to make a project about bullying at school. So the idea is that you could read the story again, right? And you could do this true or false activity with your students while reading the second time, right? So we've got post-reading, discuss. First of all, let me see. You can show emojis if you want, okay? But you cannot your head. And of course, you can say no. Did you enjoy the story? Yes, no, kind of. Did you like it or not? Yeah? Yes? Oh, good, Sophie. Even though she isn't, we support different football fans. That's okay. Good. What do you think about Ollie's classmates' behavior? So these are like questions for you to discuss with your students, okay, right? What do you think about those behaviors? What do you think about that? Sometimes students don't realize, right, that is not fun. Since everyone is laughing, they believe, oh, this is okay, right? He's having fun. No, he's not. Do you think it is right to talk about to talk to an adult if there is a case of bullying? This is another question, right, that you can ask your students. Why? Because sometimes they don't like it, okay, as bullying, as in the case of Oli, they believe that could be worse, okay, right? What should you do to help someone who is a victim of bullying? What shouldn't you do? So these are all questions, right, that you can use to discuss, okay, to talk about the story, all right, after reading it. After doing a reading comprehension activity because it was one, okay, right? And here is a question that says, are you worried about grammar? We are English teachers, so we are always, and we got here, okay, right? As always, okay, right? We're worried, but don't be. You can always teach grammar after focusing a meaning, okay, right? So we read just one short story. If we wanted to use this story to teach grammar, what do you think that we could use this story? I mean, what can we use this story for? I mean, to teach what? Anything that comes. I don't know if you noticed that there was like a lot of past, okay, right? So maybe after reading the story, okay, right, you can revise the past, okay, right? You can use it. Si abro el chat, se me va a dejar de compartir eso, okay, right? So I could open the chat. But we can always use it, okay, right? In fact, the truthful sentences, right, that the sentences I prepared, the idea is that you could elicit, okay, right, sentences in the past, so that if you want to teach the past, you can use it, okay? Or if you want to, I don't know, to revise, okay, right? Also, right? Or just because you want to read one story. And this is just like the last part of it, okay, right? Do not forget about these, right? About this new, kind of new, right? It's not that new, but the post-method pedagogy, right? It's a framework, okay, right? That it deals with eclecticism, right? And there are three principles, right, that have to do with it. That it has to do with the principle of particularity, possibility, and practicality, right? And it's very important, okay, right, to think about or to take these principles into account when preparing, right, your classes, or in this case, your CSE lessons, okay, right? Because maybe this activity was good for me, right? Okay, I can use it in my class, but it is not good for you. So think about your particular context, your students, right? What topics you feel comfortable with, okay, right? Think about the resources that you have, okay? This was an online story, okay? In the place where I work, in one of the schools, I don't have a computer or technology. So I printed one story, okay? Once I took it, okay, printed it, okay? So think about the resources that you have, the context, your possibilities, but include, okay, right? Use, okay, right? CSE in your lessons, okay, right? You will create a safe environment, okay, right, for your students to express themselves, okay? And this is like, what do you want your students to take, okay, right, from your English classes? What do you want them to take? Do you want them just to take a list of isolated words or collocations, okay, right, or grammar rules, or you want them to go beyond that, okay, right, and to understand that English is a language and that they can use it to communicate, to express, to share their feelings, their thoughts? I think that was, yeah, that was the last one. Thank you. Okay. Questions, comments, feedback. And I think that was all. All right. Shall I stop sharing? Was it good? Are you still there? So I will stop sharing. Okay, good. Well, that's all for today. I don't know if you liked it. I know that it was one of the last talks, so it was like kind of difficult because I knew that certain topics could be like repetitive. I didn't mean to be like that. That's why I tried to include an activity that maybe could be useful, right? To have something to use in the classroom, okay, right? So, well, I don't know. Put yours. Any comments, questions? Report to speech. Someone told me report to speech. Yes, of course. Okay. So good. Anything? Any comments? Nope. Oh, thanks, Seal. There are a lot of stories, and it's Storyberries, that's the name, okay, right? And it's good because they are classified according to the different ages, okay, right? It's good. You have different kinds of stories about different topics, okay, right? So it's a good idea. I used one that was kind of thanks, Vivi, kind of similar with my secondary school students, and they liked it. Okay, I thought maybe it's kind of boring. No, they love it. Okay, right? It's kind of good, and that's it. Yes, good. So I don't know if you. I hope you liked it. Okay, you took something home from the presentation. Okay, and thanks a lot for being here, right?
Very nice presentation, Vanessa. And I think we all loved it. We also loved the story and how to work with the story. It was very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions, any comments? Remember to complete the feedback form so we can improve this marathon. Or you can comment something about Vanessa's presentation, and also you will get the attendance certificate. So it is on the chat, so you can complete it and get your certificate. And Graciela has joined us. Perhaps por ahí Graciela nos quiere decir algo. Graciela está como yo, medio.
Le contaba, ¿me escuchan bien? Sí, le contaba, le pasé un mensajito a Aure de que estaba acá, pero solo con una disculpa porque tengo como una condición general gripal que, bueno, poco puedo compartir, pero no quería dejar de estar un ratito acá porque la verdad es que sigue siendo re interesante esta estrategia que han buscado de socializar las experiencias que llevan adelante, este minuto de escucha que se dan, y siempre me parece insuficiente no fortalecerlo, ¿verdad? Son tantas las formas en que la docencia, las investigaciones y la academia nos dice qué hacer, pero tan pocas las ocasiones en donde nosotras hablamos de nosotras, hablamos de nuestras propuestas, las ponemos en valor y entendemos que estamos construyendo conocimiento, que es el espacio en el que nos da sentido nuestra tarea, ¿verdad? Entonces, si bien ustedes conocen mi acercamiento más a lo educativo que específicamente a la enseñanza de la lengua, yo rescato esta estrategia formativa, porque es infrecuente y porque la estamos poniendo en valor de una manera que estamos sosteniendo esta capacidad de escucha, compartiendo, poniendo categorías teóricas o metodológicas en funcionamiento y desde un lugar empático, desde un lugar de decir te escucho porque me parece que lo que estás haciendo no solamente te aportó a vos y a tu grupo, sino que puede ser una puerta para que yo al menos resignifique lo que hago, me lo pregunte desde otro lugar. Entonces a mí me parece que esto no lo perdamos. Yo me sumo al nosotros pero las que lo sostienen son ustedes. No lo perdamos porque Es hora de que nos apropiemos de nuestras propias estrategias de formación y de investigación y nos animemos a dar el próximo paso, que ya seguramente las compañeras les harán propuestas deshonestas. Tenemos que empezar a pensar una publicación con esto. Tenemos que empezar a poner en valor estas propuestas, veamos de qué manera, para que circule como propio, ¿eh? No, no para competir con ningún espacio, sino para decir, nos pensamos nosotras, nosotros en este lugar y vamos haciendo estos recorridos. Y además, a diferencia del año anterior, ustedes vieron que hemos puesto en el programa énfasis en las voces del estudiantado, porque ahí es donde hacemos la validación de la propia construcción. Y permanentemente estamos dando cuenta de esos procesos. La escuchaba a Vanessa contarlo con gusto, con placer, con deseo de contarlo, y eso me parece que es fundamental, porque eso es lo que dice, aunque me imagino que Vanessa en el aula habrá tenido dificultades, habrá cosas no le habrán salido tan bien como quisiera, en algún lugar le salió mejor y en otra no tanto, pero ese placer que transmite, ese placer que pone en valor al socializarlo, para mí son las señales de que estamos por buenos caminos, porque estamos trabajando juntas, que para mí es el primero, en tiempos difíciles como los que estamos, tener un contexto de arraigo como el que estamos es fundamental. Estamos en contexto en donde todos nos dicen lo que está mal, estamos escuchando modelos muy autoritarios, voces muy violentas, experiencias muy denostadas, diciendo una escuela, un instituto que no sirve porque bla, 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 bla. Y acá estamos ofreciendo otros deseos. Así que, bueno, disculpen la gripe, menos mal, si con gripe hace 5 minutos que estoy hablando, imagínense, no tenía gripe. Estoy acá. Eh, no, no voy a intervenir más que en esto, pero en lo que pueda acompaño. Pues les mando un abrazo sin gripe para ustedes.
Gracias, Chochi. Graciela está representando al ISEI, que es el Instituto de
Ujú.
Ciencias de la Educación, de la Investigación, y ayúdame, Aurelia, me comí una I.
Interdisciplinaria.
Interdisciplinaria.
Interdisciplinariedad, interdisciplinariedad, que justo de eso también habló Vanessa en el momento, ¿sí? Sí, sí, sí.
Sí. Y que
Que no sea la
gentilmente
psicóloga nada más la que podía dar ESI, ¿no es cierto? Vanessa que dijo, en la escuela mía estaba la psicóloga nada más, no.
Sí, terrible era eso. Como que no podías hablar vos, era como, no, 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 no se puede trabajar las familias, me dijeron, llevé un cuadrito. No, 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 me dijo acá y no, sacalo. Bueno, se va. Chao familia. Obviamente yo también me fui del
Ok.
colegio, ¿no?
Pero digo, perdonen que interrumpa ahí de nuevo. Hay una ley que nos ampara, por favor, no perdamos de vista esto. Tanto la ley de educación sexual integral como la ley de educación ambiental integral, las dos legislaciones delegan en la docencia primaria, secundaria y superior no universitaria
Ujú.
poner en contacto con estas dimensiones y con estos espacios. Entonces no discutamos más que, mira, acá la ley me dice que yo soy referenta de la ley en mi institución. Si querés charlemos el abordaje, porque la verdad que es cierto que hay veces que si vamos a dar una concepción de familia que quedó en el pasado, patriarcal, heteronormativa, fuertemente castradora, bueno, la concepción de la que estamos poniendo en tensión para una concepción más afectuosa, más amorosa de cómo se construyen esos vínculos, entonces, no es que cualquier cosa vale, también somos garantes de eso, de que las concepciones que ofrecemos son éticas, son políticamente habitables para personas para vivir mejor, pero no, no discutamos espacio, está bien, conocemos las relaciones de poder en una institución y claramente, porque Vanessa se fue, a ver, no hay mucho más para decir. Pero es más difícil al equipo de gestión decirte no vayas por ahí cuando hay una ley que dice cada espacio curricular. Esta fue la discusión de ESI en el Congreso. La primera discusión es, ¿ponemos una materia que se llame ESI o es transversal a todos los espacios curriculares? Finalmente no hubo acuerdo en una u otra, por lo que queda confirmado que todos los espacios curriculares nos concentramos en la educación sexual integral. Porque no es un tema, es el modo desde donde miramos la construcción de la subjetividad. No somos además mujeres o diversidades, somos mujeres, diversidades, chuecas, gordas, lindas, feas, rubias, morenas, afectuosas. Somos todas esas dimensiones. Por eso la interseccionalidad no es un tema del que hablemos aparte. Somos nosotras en todas esas cuestiones. Menos mal que tenía...
Agustina nos recuerda que la siguiente speaker tiene un problema de salud, así que no va a estar presente. Y le pedimos a Pamela Raraz, que es una colega de acá de Bahía Blanca, que si no podía hacer algo rapidito. Y ayer a la tarde nos confirmó que sí, así que muchas gracias, Pamela. Muchísimas gracias por salvarnos las papas.
No sé, acá salgo a la cancha de suplente, así que vamos a ver si hago algo, hago algo decente. Hola, ¿qué tal? Buenos días. Acá me vengo sumando de a poquito. La escuchaba a Graciela y no podía, no me daba el tiempo para las reacciones de, porque realmente no, una no puede estar más de acuerdo. Em, yo refrité y refloté una presentación que hicimos, creo que fue en la primera, la primera
Sí.
edición de la maratón, ¿no es cierto? De hablando un poco de los 5 ejes de la ESI. Me siento medio un poco un dinosaurio cuando la revisé ayer, Cari, antes de decirte, sí, ok, puedo hacer algo potable. Cuando la miro digo, ¿cuánto camino recorrido? ¿Cuánto se ha hecho y cuánto camino por recorrer a la vez? Porque esto que manifiesta Vanessa que le pasó en la escuela sigue pasando y lo importante que es justamente que las docentes y los docentes sepan que hay una ley que los respalda, sepan que hay toda una trayectoria de un montón de gente trabajando estos temas, apoyando, acompañando. Por eso, como decía Graciela, estos espacios son vitales, y sobre todo en este contexto. De hecho, una de las cosas que me pasó, voy a patear un poco el tablero después, Cari, ahí en la presentación, porque revisando la presentación, me encontré que algunos de los enlaces que yo había puesto originalmente en ese PowerPoint o casualidad, los que son nacionales están todos caídos y no funcionan más. Em, Nada, lean entre líneas todo lo que quieran. Entonces, bueno, creo que hoy más que nunca es importante, incluso cuando uno tiene que disentir y por ahí decir, bueno, hasta acá llegué y no puedo más, que eso sea algo evidente, que sea por ahí en un carácter de, aunque sea manifestar nuestra disconformidad y que sea público incluso para nuestros estudiantes. Hay niveles en los cuales uno puede simplemente decir, bueno, de esto no puedo hablar por X o tal situación, o vamos a tener que trabajar otros contenidos, yo hubiera querido trabajar sobre otros. Me parece que hay momentos en los cuales, aunque sea sutilmente y con mucha cintura política, una tiene que manifestar la disconformidad con las cosas que están sucediendo y cuán importante es todavía seguir trabajando estos temas. Ayer hablaba con una colega, yo en este momento estoy en un cargo directivo, o sea, uno de los tantos hats que uso, vieron que trabajamos en muchos lados a la vez. Estoy entonces de formadora en CIE de acá de Bahía Blanca, para quienes no son de la provincia de Buenos Aires, vieron que la provincia de Buenos Aires tiene como dos patitas en lo que es educación superior, esta formación inicial y formación permanente. La representación territorial de formación permanente en cada distrito son los CIE, que son Centros de Investigación Educativa, en los cuales investigación y, siempre me falta la otra I. Creo que es interpretación e investigación educativa, siempre se me va la otra I. Bueno, entonces hay formadores que se dedican a trabajar en formación permanente en diferentes lugares. Ese es uno de mis lugares donde habito. El otro es el profesorado de inglés en cuarto año acá en Bahía Blanca, en el Instituto Superior Avanza. Y otro es de vicedirectora en una escuela secundaria aquí en Bahía. Bueno, ayer en ese contexto estábamos hablando de una situación particular, de un noviazgo tóxico. Em, tóxicos, vamos a usar palabras suaves, pero una relación bastante compleja. em, y entonces estábamos viendo cómo abordar ese tema desde las aulas. Entonces encontramos, me acuerdo, unos pequeños clips en los cuales decíamos, bueno, en las horas de continuidad pedagógica quizá podemos abordarlo transversalmente sobre eh, esta temática. Y encontramos unos clips que decían tal cosa, era una caricatura, después ahora si quieren se los comparto porque la verdad que están muy lindos, es de una página que se llama Pantallas Amigas, que es española, no sé si la ubican, ahora se las comparto. Y bueno, es una cosita y abajo decía, esto es violencia de género. Por ejemplo, pedirle la geolocalización a tu pareja para controlar dónde está es violencia de género. Y tal cosa es violencia de género, eran 10 ítems. Entonces, en su momento, digo, bueno, esto puede llegar a traer aparejado que los varones se quejen de que hay chicas que hacen lo mismo con ellos y que entonces, ¿por qué todos estos videos son solamente respecto de la violencia del hombre hacia la mujer y que dice violencia de género? Y la profe con la que yo estaba hablando me dice, bueno, pero puede ser hacia el otro género. No, no, le digo, la violencia de género no es hacia los varones también. Y yo cuando empecé a explicarle y a charlar y todo esto, digo, esta es una colega que yo respeto, alguien que en ningún otro momento de otra cosa yo pensaría que hay cosas que no tiene claras respecto de la pedagogía. Sin embargo, en ese lugar estábamos haciendo agua. Decir, ah, ok, ¿cuánto camino por recorrer? Y entonces en ese lugar decir, bueno, soy un par, entonces tampoco me puedo, por más que estoy en un cargo directivo, decir, bueno, cómo lo charlamos, cómo lo dialogamos, cómo lo pensamos, con mucho tacto, con mucha amorosidad, tanta que falta hoy día, pero sin dejar pasar que, ok, ahí hay un concepto erróneo que no podemos abordarlo mal porque estamos perjudicando los derechos de nuestros adolescentes en este caso. Así que bueno, nada, acá vamos a ver qué sale, Cari.
Está bien.
Y Agus.
Nos tomamos 5 minutitos de recreo, volvemos en 5 minutos, vamos al baño, tomamos un cafecito y continuamos.